Today, we'll bring you another installment from this season's ultimate riding tour of the Catskill Mountains, as we ride due south from Roscoe, New York. And speaking of ultimate rides, later on in the show, we'll step into the time capsule as we look at a vintage 1950 motorcycle that made history in Hollywood, thanks to Marlon Brando. Then we'll head out to the West Coast to Duncan, BC, to catch up with rookie adventure rider Matt Fletcher as he gets a lesson in target fixation. Plus, over in the contest corner, Kylie will give us another valuable clue in our Keys to Kylie Scooter contest. All this and more as TSN presents Motorcycle Experience.
Hello and welcome to Motorcycle Experience, the voice of motorcyclists everywhere. I'm Dave Hatch, and this week we'll kick off our show by sampling Yamaha's all-new maxi scooter, the TMax.
This season on The Experience, it seems like both dual sport bikes and scooters are all the rage. And Yamaha's new TMax is certainly helping to throw fuel on the fire. At the heart of this puppy is a wicked 530cc liquid-cooled, fuel-injected inline twin, mated to a fully automatic twist-and-go CVT transmission. This Max sports an impressive power-to-lightweight ratio, thanks in part to its aluminum frame and swing arm, mounted up with 15-inch cast, you guessed it, aluminum wheels. The spec sheet also gets maxed out thanks to the beefy 43mm fork and dual 267 discs that sport 4-piston monoblock calipers. Pretty impressive DNA on paper, but how does the TMax ride out on the open road? Well, here's what longtime viewer Dave Fox had to say after a day in the saddle.
So Dave, I think it's been roughly about 10 years when the scooter thing really started to come on and we started to see bigger displacement scooters. When we start talking about this size of displacement, to me, they go beyond scooter. It's really a motorcycle.
You're right. And today when I was riding with another group of motorcycles, I had no problem keeping up with them with the acceleration this scooter has.
Right.
I guess this definition of scooter comes somewhere around the design, but if you, well, you can't close your eyes safely, but you can certainly accelerate and feel like you're riding with the big boys.
So what was your first impression when we pulled it out of the trailer?
Well, I thought it was really sharp, and again, sleek looking, I guess for lack of a better word, the classy style to it, something that you can ride in the city and feel as though you were not riding on something cheap looking and not really like a scooter.
Right. Now, you've commented a few times on how you were able to keep up with the big boys. How did you find the engine?
It was good. It was smooth, quiet. Riding and the overall comfort of it was great. Not just the engine part of it, but the engine itself was very smooth.
Yeah. CVT transmission?
Yes.
So again, how did that work?
Belt drive. When you accelerate, it's there. There was no slippage in it at all. Like it accelerated off the line. In fact, I even stirred the gravel up a little bit off of the shoulder. So that part was good too.
So you've got the speed, now we want to know, do you got the stops?
When I first got on it in the driveway here today, I almost went over a tea kettle. That expression is, when you touch the brakes, there's lots of brake there, and if you look at the discs on the wheels, there's lots of brake power, lots of stopping power. In fact, I had to get used to it.
Right.
In fact, there was more than I expected.
Mm-hmm. What about just the way the bike works in terms of this parking brake? If we're talking about stopping, did you like this braking system?
It's a good design. Again, having ridden some other scooters that didn't have that design, if you're stopped somewhere and you have to be conscious of rolling ahead, even just sitting on the bike, and a really neat design because you just flip the parking brake on. Then when it's time to move forward again, you don't forget.
Right.
Because when you put your hand on the grip, the bar is in your way.
Right.
So you have to flip it to get your hand comfortably back on the grip.
Yeah. Pretty nice idea. What about the cockpit and the instrumentation?
Large number configuration. The digital part is also easy to read. It's got a whole number of readouts, including your gas mileage. It has the temperature, air temperature, the time, 2 different tripometers. So lots of technology, again, in a scooter.
Now, scooters, a lot of them are used, as we know, in urban environments, and they're great for running around to work or to the grocery store, but you need somewhere to put those groceries, that briefcase. How's the storage?
Great. You just flick the key to the left and it pops, and then you end up having a trunk available to you. The trunk has room for the tools are back in this area, and then you've got all this for storage. A full face helmet will fit in there with room to spare. And if you're at night trying to do your packing or unpacking, they even put in a trunk light.
That's
so
nice.
they thought of that as a nice touch when you're pulling in the driveway late at night.
Did you have a look at the little compartments up front?
Yes, and what I liked about it was the fact you can lock it and open it. Good spacing in there for sunglasses, cell phone, your wallet.
That's nice that it's lockable.
It is nice that it's lockable. And probably, and a lot of people wouldn't even notice that was there. When it's parked, they might notice the key and they might not.
Right. So Dave, let me ask you about the riding position, because clearly, you know, scooters usually are intended for commuting, running around downtown, urban environments, but you know, today here we were shooting you out in the country. How did you find the overall comfort, the riding position, the wind protection, especially when you're up at speed?
Right. I'll comment on the windshield because we haven't before. There are two positions to it, and you can vary it by, I think, a little over 2 inches. The way it is right now is perfect for what I was doing today, and I didn't feel any wind buffeting at all, and I was going at highway speeds. I think if you were in a town and you had to stop a lot, it's not top heavy, even though I was a little tippy-toed standing with it. You don't feel like you're going to lose, it's going to flop over on you, so you can still put your feet down and feel confident that you've got control of it.
Yeah.
Seating position was great. The seat is in pretty good condition as far as softness. You can move back and forth on there. Again, like I mentioned with the foot position, you can also move your butt, so you can change your position quite often. Again, adding to the fact that if you wanted to go for a little longer ride, you shouldn't have any problem.
It's a nice tidy package. Any surprises?
No, other than I commented on the brakes. The brakes were a little more powerful than I expected for a mid-sized bike.
Yeah.
But other than that, not really, no, because I've ridden some other scooters, but this one is right up there, I'd say, because of the smoothness, because of some of the extras it has on it, because of the sleek look to it. It's not a big surprise to me that this supposedly, I believe, is the #1 selling scooter in Europe, so they've done a lot of research to get to this point.
Right. Now you've tested almost all of our scooters so far over the last decade, including the big ones. 1 out of 10, what would you give this in terms of 10 being really good and 1 being not so good?
Being a retired teacher, I never gave 10s, so I give it a 9. Because there could be something better out there.
Always go for the gold. Nice work. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
Next, 3-time Dakar competitor Don Hatton discusses target fixation as he and Matt get set for adventure out on Vancouver Island. We'll also step back in time to examine one of the most famous set of wheels from the golden era of Hollywood. And we'll reveal another key feature in our Keys to Kylie's scooter giveaway. Stay with us. Motorcycle Experience is brought to you in part by Honda Motorcycles, BMW Motorrad, and Triumph Motorcycles. Closed captioning of Motorcycle Experience is brought to you in part by Motovan. Welcome back as TSN presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and it's time now to catch up with our rookie road rider, Matt Fletcher. This week he learns out in Duncan, BC that when it comes to adventure riding, walking on target isn't always such a good thing.
All right, Don, I can see the mountains. Are we ever going to ride up there?
Okay, Grasshopper, just settle down here. We're almost there, but what we're going to talk about now is, have you heard of target fixation?
Yeah, I think they mentioned that in the street bike course.
Okay, well, I'm going to get you to stand up here, and let's just talk a little bit about it.
All right.
So, target fixation is when you look at something, you have a tendency to drive towards what you're looking at.
Okay.
So, the rule of thumb is, don't look where you don't want to go. So look where you want to go.
Okay.
So what I have a tendency to do, or what I do when I'm riding, is if you look right down there where those cones are,
Yeah.
about 50 feet ahead, that's where I like to look when I'm riding.
Okay.
And I try to pay attention and look for a line through the obstacles, and you'll get better at it. You'll start getting almost like a laser beam focus where you can actually see where you want to go.
Okay.
So let's pretend there's a huge pile of rocks there.
All right.
So when you're riding along and you see those rocks, you're going, oh my God, there's rocks there, I'm going to crash.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that, because if you focus on those, guess what? You're going to crash.
Really?
So you want to focus over. So when you catch yourself thinking that way, don't go, oh my God, I'm going to hit those rocks, because you're going to crash and you're going to hit those rocks, and then I'm going to come along and I'm going to go, oh my God, Matt was focusing on those rocks and he crashed.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, it's very important, Matt, and it really gets to be more important the more tired you get. And as an example, this is how dangerous it can be. I was in the Dakar.
Yeah.
It was a long day, I was tired, and there was a big rock in the middle of the road. And the road was wide enough for 2 cars to get by. There was no problem. There's no way I was going to hit that rock, or I should have. Unfortunately, I was so tired that I focused on that rock. I actually told myself, if I hit that rock, I'm going to crash. And I hit that rock and I crashed. There was tons of room around it, but I focused on that rock. And I even couldn't believe myself I was hitting the rock. It's just I couldn't break my mind away from the rock because I was tired.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's going to happen to you if you focus on those cones or those rocks. You're going to hit them.
Okay.
So always be scanning the ground, looking for the smoothest way through, and focus on the smoothest way through. So when you see that big pothole, focus on the smoothest way past the pothole. Don't focus on the pothole.
Okay.
All right, Grasshopper, we're almost ready to go.
All right, I'll grab my helmet, my jacket, and hopefully we can finally fire up the Super 10.
And no donuts.
Well, I can't promise that. Thanks, Don.
Okay.
Now that's some great advice, Don. Next, before we explore the site of Woodstock 69, Norm and I stop in at the Dancing Cat Saloon and get a lesson in moonshine. Stay with us.
Welcome back as TSN presents Motorcycle Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and it's time now to catch up with this week's ultimate ride as Norm and I push deeper into the Catskill Mountains.
This season, Norm and I have headed off to spend a couple of days exploring the Catskill Mountains, located about an hour or so northwest of New York City. Our ultimate destination is Bethel, New York, site of the famous hippie-era music and art festival known as Woodstock. As it turns out, this area was also extremely popular prior to 1969 with New York's Jewish population and boasted many summer resorts and showrooms. Stages where many stand-up comedians like Joan Rivers and Rodney Dangerfield cut their teeth. Like the hippies, most of those resorts are now gone, but some remain. And adding to the Catskill vibe is a brand new saloon and distillery right across the street from the Woodstock site. With stomachs rumbling, we stopped in to check the place out and wound up getting a VIP tour from establishment owners Stacy and Monty. And as it turns out, our visit at the Catskill Distilling Company was one of the highlights of this trip.
Well, Norm, here we are in Bethel, New York, and we're almost at the Woodstock site. But before you go there, you have to have a bite to eat and maybe a little something to sip on your lunch hour, right? So, Catskill Distilling Company.
Yes, the Catskill Distilling Company, which we found today.
Yeah.
What a gem. This was a very cool visit. We got the inside story on the whole distilling process, and the owners here were just fantastic and hospitable, and a wonderful place to stop.
Yeah, it's a great destination. The Dancing Cat Saloon is here. They rustled us up some lunch. It was delicious. Highly recommend that this is a place to stop on your way through the Catskills, on your way to Woodstock. Yeah, we had a great ride down here. You know, we last left you, we were in Roscoe, and we wound up riding down to Liberty, and then we took 55 down here to 17B and eventually into the town of Bethel. And man, more great roads.
Just another fantastic road. You know, that's what we've been talking about. It's just every road we seem to take is just perfect for motorcycling. And apparently, you know, 10 miles from here now is an actual destination road.
Yeah.
Highway 97 along the Delaware River. And they talk very highly about it here. And they said that many motorcyclists come here in the summertime to ride that.
Sounds like 97 is the key. It follows the Delaware River and the Pennsylvania border. A lot of car commercials have been shot there. It's very scenic. So hopefully after we visit the site of Woodstock, we'll check that out. But I'm just blown away. You know, the sun has come out. We started out, it was a little gray and rainy this morning, but the sun's come out, the wind is up. But beautiful fall ride, and I'm just stunned at some of the things we've seen on the way down here. The lakes, the resorts. Did you see that? A little bit of Hebrew on the side of a few of the resorts as we came by?
Yeah, I was noticing that, and I think there's a little bit of history. We'll touch on to that at some point as well. But yeah, just a wonderful riding area, and it's a big, beautiful day, and I know you're very anxious to get to the next spot.
Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a ride because I can see the entrance from here. It's about a quarter of a mile down 17B. This is what it's all been about. The destination is the actual site of Woodstock. So the next time we see you next week, we will be there. So another ultimate ride.
Great stuff.
No, I'm not going to sing another verse of Woodstock.
Thanks again to Monty and Stacy for a fabulous lunch and a great tour of their Catskills Distilling Company. Remember, next week, it's all Yasgur's Farm and Star Spangled Banner, Jimmy style. In the meantime, we'll continue to stick with our scooter theme as we turn our attention to this season's contest giveaway. How would you like to win the keys to your very own Giorno? Well, here's Kylie to tell you how.
Thanks, Dave. Because we've been getting a lot of interest in scooters from viewers all across Canada, we thought we'd hold a contest where you could win my cool new Honda Giorno scooter. Here's how the contest is going to work. Each week, we're going to answer some viewer mail about scooters, and you need to remember the subject. So this week, we have an email from Ashley Stewart from Calgary, Alberta. She wants to know, are scooters very fast? Well, maybe you've seen those electric scooters puttering along on the gutter on the side of the road. Well, real scooters are not like that. A real scooter will basically go as fast as you need it to go. This PCX is a 150cc engine, so trust me, it's pretty spunky. Perfectly fine for occasional highway riding. It'll easily go 110, 120. Now my Giorno is a 50cc scooter, so it's not designed for the freeway, but in a city setting, totally has enough power to keep up with traffic. You can zip along and take up less space on the road than a car or SUV. Right on! So that's this week's contest key feature. Scooters are peppy. Now let's get right down to the nuts and bolts. How to enter the Keys to Kylie's Scooter contest. All you have to do is surf the Motorcycle Experience website and click on the Kylie's Keys link. Provide us with 3 key features or reasons for owning a scooter. Remember, every week I'm going to be giving you a key feature and you only need 3. So send those in and you'll be instantly entered into the draw to win the keys to my scooter, a brand new 2013 Honda Giorno. Pretty cool, guys. So in just over a month, we're going to be drawing to see who wins the keys to a brand new scooter on our last episode of the season. So good luck, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Next, we'll head down to the amazing Barber Museum in Birmingham, Alabama, to take an up-close and personal look at a motorcycle that back in 1950 was the ride of choice for the outlaw biker. Stay with us. Motorcycle Experience is brought to you in part by Honda Motorcycles, BMW Motorrad, and Triumph Motorcycles. Welcome back as TSN presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and we'll wrap up our show now by taking a closer look at a 1950s British motorcycle that, thanks to a famous Hollywood actor, became known as one badass outlaw set of wheels. Behold a 1950 Triumph 6T Thunderbird, essentially famed Triumph designer Edward Turner's revised version of the earlier Speed Twins air-cooled engine, now bored out from 500 cc's to 650 to give this motorcycle what American customers demanded: added horsepower. Although produced in England, the Thunderbird became extremely popular in '53 when Brando rolled up on one in the famous Hollywood flick The Wild One. From there, as they say, the rest is history. Kinda kooky when you think of it. 60 years ago, if you wanted to portray yourself as a bad boy American biker, long before Harley became all the rage, your wheels had to be made across the pond. Barber Museum technical consultant Brian Slark picks up the story in this week's Triumph Time Capsule.
This is a 650cc Thunderbird, which was Triumph's first venture into building an over 500cc vertical twin. The American market, or North American market, wanted more cubes, they wanted more power, more torque, so the most logical thing was to make a 650 motor. This motorcycle gained infamy. It was used in the movie The Wild Ones, when Marlon Brando was the bad guy, so everybody sort of thought the Thunderbird was a pretty bad motorcycle, not in a bad way of riding, but once again the name Thunderbird makes it very acceptable and suitable for the North American market. So Triumph's market was 90% of their market was in North America, so obviously their motorcycles always had an American name or something associated with America. Basically the engine's similar to the 500, it's just that the crankcase is larger, obviously the cylinder. On this model, the cylinder and cylinder head are cast iron. They hadn't evolved into aluminum cylinder heads yet. So it was used by a lot of military and the police force, a very reliable, torquey motorcycle. It was always dark blue, known as Thunderbird blue. There were a few made in black. They called them a blackbird, but there were very, very few. Normally they're in the dark blue color, and everybody called it Thunderbird blue, whatever that was. The Thunderbirds were very, very torquey and had a lot of low down power, which is suitable for sidecar use. So normally if you saw a Thunderbird, it would most likely have a big sidecar on the side, a double adult sidecar. It wasn't really a sporty machine, not in the sense of out and out sports. It was more of a good, solid touring machine, sidecar, military, just a good standby machine, just a very simple, rugged bike. A Triumph always got the styling right. The fenders, the headlamp cowl, the tank, just the lines of the motorcycle, they're very aesthetically pleasing. The motorcycle looks right. It just looks correct. No extras, no fripperies on it. It's just a nice, basic, honest motorcycle.
Amazingly, some 60-odd years later, the Triumph Thunderbird name and its popular parallel twin format lives on. Mind you, today's Thunderbird is powered by a massive fuel-injected 1,600cc power plant. Now that's what I call badass.
Well, that's it for this week's program, folks. We're all out of time, and I finally found the perfect use for this box. What a great perch. Anyway, till next week, keep your feet on the pegs and your right hand cranked. Bye for now.